Jaha, kuuluuko? 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 Jaha, kuuluuko? Joo. Nyt olisi ideana vähän reagoida noihin uuteen updateen. Ajattelin katsoa vähän parempien pelaajien kommentteja, mitä he ovat mieltä uudesta updateista, ja samalla vähän katsoa ja paremmat tyypit kertoo, että mikä homma.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another patch review. We are now at the
Mutta kuunnellaan nyt Average Jonasen mietteitä uudesta patchista. Onks Bomb Bebop taas parempi kuin aikaisemmin?
big November patch. Okay, let's see what we got here. Added Trapper to Hero Labs. Okay, so that's a new hero. We have to check that out. Added support for Hero Labs in private lobbies, private bot games, and sandbox. Okay, cool. Added Quick Buy. Oh, dude, this is one of the features.
Okei, tää eli... Joo, onko tää Dotan sama Quick Buy?
This is one of the features I requested. You can now right-click items in the shop to add them to your Quick Buy queue. When you return to the shop, you'll automatically purchase the items you can afford in your set order. An indicator
Tää on kova. Tää on hyvä.
on the HUD will light up when you can afford the next. Oh, this is such a big quality of life feature.
Tää on tosi hyvä. Tää kyllä auttaa mun mielestä aika paljon.
This is one of the things I requested a while ago. It's already in Dota. It's so nice. Okay, let's see what else do we have here. Shaders map and various resources will not pre-compile on the dashboard to improve loading times. Okay, that's good. That was an issue. Sometimes people just load extremely slow. Visual indicator.
Toivottavasti ne parantais vähän
For browsing builds, it shows which item types are most present in the build. Oh, interesting. So you get like a quick glimpse of like what the build focuses on. Added recent purchases log to the shop that displays items bought. Okay, for those who forget quickly. Support for Steam game recording. Oh, wow. This automatically adds timeline markers for kills, deaths, and team objectives. This is good for content creators who edit their own stuff. Saves them a lot of time. Added checkbox and setting to force the game to take focus when the game is on pause. You can now hover party members on the dashboard while in queue to view the roster. Added frenzy text. Okay, cool. Streamer mode, socials tab. Okay. Not that the streamer mode really does anything, but hero stats on the left side of the HUD are now hidden by default. Okay. Alright, here we go. Gameplay. Miscellaneous gameplay.
No niin, nyt mennään. Katsotaan mitä täällä keksitään.
Troopers no longer change soul sharing rules. Oh, crap! Troopers no longer change soul sharing rules after laning phase ends, meaning two heroes don't split souls. For those of you who are not aware, the way it's implemented right now before this patch is that up until 8 minutes, it was always beneficial that both heroes stay in the lane when the troopers die, because you both would get full value out of the trooper, like the orbs. So what was normal was that after 8 minutes, one of you would start jungling because you would no longer both get the full orb benefits, meaning that it's more efficient that one of you go to jungle or like push another lane or gank and fight, because you would now be basically sharing the total souls. So you would get half as much, essentially, if you were two people in lane. This change means that it's essentially beneficial to always be two people in the lane throughout the entire game. And I'm wondering if they're doing this because they feel like the laning stage is over too quickly. And I actually think that's a big buff for heroes like Bomb Bebop. So for those who don't know, when you play Bomb Bebop, your goal is to build as many stacks as possible by doing damage to enemy heroes with your bomb or get kills. The problem is that as soon as the laning stage is over, a lot of people go jungling, and a lot of people go ganking, and sometimes you're forced to just like stay in the lane and just push the lane out without there being any heroes to fight. So this is going to benefit heroes that want to fight, because I think it means that you'll basically extend the duration of the laning stage a little bit more. And I also think that that's gonna probably make it more fun to play too, Because I do kind of feel like the early game sometimes got a little bit boring because everybody just went into the jungle and stayed there for a long time because the jungle takes quite a while to farm too. So that's cool. Troopers no longer increase their bounty by 20% at 8 minutes. Okay, so that's like to adjust.
Joo, no mä en ole niin high level player, että mä nyt oikeesti vielä on noin ines näissä jutuissa, mutta ehkä noin jo ok. Katsotaan mitä pitää pelata ja kokeilla näin.
Just that, obviously. Hero kill gold increased also makes sense. I feel like you didn't get enough value for the souls rewards from hero kills. So I agree with that. Neutral creeps now give... Okay, see, this is exactly what I meant. They're clearly motivating us to stay in the lane more and...
Onks tää niinku jungle nerf selkeästi?
Jungle a little bit less, because with the previous meta where they lowered the timer for when the neutral camp spawned, I think it became like a really strong jungling meta, and I just think that becomes more boring. It becomes too passive. It seems pretty clear to me that they are trying to increase the value of staying in the lane. Troopers now take 28% more damage from Guardians. I agree with this. I feel like the Troopers were way too tanky. Walker damage increased. I agree with that too. These objectives have just like notoriously been way too easy to push. Guardians now focus their attack on enemy players if an enemy player shoots a hero. Oh, this is huge. So another issue was that sometimes when someone was diving you, it felt like the Guardian wasn't really helping you. Like they would like almost tower dive you, but as long as the Trooper was closer to the Guardian than your enemy, he would just be able to fight you. Now this is like in other MOBAs, where the tower is going to prioritize aggro on enemy players if they hit an enemy hero.
Tää on kyllä totta, musta tuntuu aika usein. No Guardianit ei kyllä yhtään ihan auta tossa koot jengi daivaa. Tää voi olla hyvä.
This is a very, very good change. This is how it is in other MOBAs. Moved 8 neutral camps from outside the outer lanes between the wall. Oh! They finally moved the looser camps. So they took the looser camps out of this. This is awesome, I think. And I think this is one of the reasons why they added less souls from neutral creeps, because there's going to be more camps to farm. Okay. Sick. I like this. I like this change a lot. Added cosmic veils to the ground floor entrances to mid that grant vision looking in. Oh! Wait, this is a good change for like countering mid-boss fights. Damn. Cosmic veils to the ground floor entrances to mid that grant vision looking in. So you can stay right on the outside and prepare your counter. Interesting. Alright. Ooh. Wait, I'm curious about this. This is actually pretty important. Biased earn delivery locations moved slightly closer to neutral positions. This is something I've been like pretty annoyed by, is that you're like 20-30k souls ahead, and then because the comeback urns, or the biased urns as they call it, are so easy to deliver, it almost became impossible to like keep your lead. They would just run 2 to 3 urns and they would be back even. So this is pretty sick. Alright. Minor adjustments to respawn curve, 40-second respawn happening at 20, okay. So they want the games to last a little bit shorter, because the 40-second respawn happens a little bit earlier.
Tää on mun mielestä ihan hyvä, että kaikki pelit ei oo mitään tunnin pelejä. Mun mielestä se on kyllä ihan hyvä, että tää Deadlockin, musta tuntuu Dotas väliin ne pelit oli niin aivan tärkein pitkiä. Ne melkein aina tunnin.
Walker armor loss over time now happens at 16. This also makes sense, because I just think that like pushing walkers and guardians too early has always been an issue. Trooper spirit just goes to 30% instead of 40. Okay. Mid to boss regev trooper health increased. Okay, so now the regev buff is even stronger. So for those of you who don't know, when you kill the mid boss, not only do you get a health buff and a respawn time reduction, but all your troopers also gain increased health, and now they increase that even more. Redesign the warehouse interior to allow entry from the front on the music hall buildings. This is one of those things where you just have to like see it in game. Removed all railings from fire escape stairs, making rooftop smoother to navigate. Removed angle support from chimney. Oh, they added spikes on these which roofs right now. They're making rooftop smoother. The stuff that's already implemented. Now more angled, and it becomes less of... Close quarters no longer grants bullet shield.
No niin, mennään nyt weapons muutoksia tässä, mitä täällä on. Nämä on ehkä vähän kiinnostavaa.
Heal and grants bullet resist instead. That makes sense to me because when you upgrade close quarters to point blank, you gain 15% bullet resist and no bullet shield, so it never made sense to me why that item would give bullet health in the first place. Resto shot no longer grants bullet. Okay, so that's just like a rebalance. Now resto shot gets the bullet shield instead. And now procs and or okay, this is good. So for those of you who are resto shot enjoyers, I'm sure you've noticed sometimes that you have the resto shot buff up, but then you have to last it in orb and then you don't get the heal. Now at least you get the same amount of heal as you would get if you're shooting an NPC rally. So I think that's a big quality of life upgrade. So we would like that. Okay, 90 bullet shield. It's quite a lot actually. I wonder if that means the resto shot might fit in some barrier builds. Melee charge no longer grants.
Yes, melee nerfejä. Mä ärsyttää mun mielestä. Mä en dikkaa meleestä tässä pelissä. En mä tiedä, mä oon vaan huono pokkaa.
On health regen, weapon damage reduced. Okay, this is just like a small adjustment. I don't think that changes anything. Ooh, this is interesting. So for those who don't know, long range was a weapon that only added bonus damage if you were outside 15 meters. So they're trying to like make this weapon more rounded off, which I agree on because I feel like long range and sharpshooter were two items that were pretty much only exclusively bought by Great Talon and Vindicta, who focus on guns. And I feel like there are ways of getting. I'm gonna assume that yeah, exactly. Let me see. Berserker bullet resist increased. Okay. Active reload grants 50 health. Slowing bullets, spirit power increased. Yeah, sharpshooter got the same treatment. 20%. I like this. I wonder if I'll put this in my paradox build actually. Sharpshooter is pretty good. It has a bullet shield too. And since I have a Veilwalker paradox build, this might put sharpshooter in my paradox build over crippling headshot. Possibly. Buffed heroic aura. Buffed intensifying a little bit. 10% increase. Not bad. Might make it better for Bebop because he needs that build up really fast. Oh, wait, this is a big change. Toxic bullets damage from 5% of current health to 2.5% of max health. That's a huge buff.
Hetkonen. Ota tämä säätö.
This means that toxic bullets can now kill people. This means that this item can now get a killing blow. So it's a much better tank buster. This is something I think a lot of you guys didn't know. Sharpshooter has this thing where it reduces the weapon damage fall off on range. Did you guys know that that affects how many bullets you need to apply toxic bullets? So both Infernus's Afterburn and Toxic Bullets is easier to apply on range if you have Sharpshooter. It's the only item in the game that will easier make you apply that debuff because it's based on the weapon damage fall off range. Alright, Shadow Weave detection range increased. I think that makes sense. I think Shadow Weave is a little bit too hard to notice when they come up on you. Glass Cannon health loss reduced. That makes sense too. I don't think this is a very common item to buy, and 15% health is a lot. Frenzy buff also makes sense. I think that's another item that's been very like only bought on like Geist and Abrams and Shiv. Lucky Shot fix. Okay, this is something I noticed pretty early on, that Lucky Shot would help your Tesla bullets proc because it counts as 2 bullets, and that's not intended. It was not supposed to be an extra bullet. It was just supposed to be extra damage. Okay, Silencer now grants spirit resist. Interesting. That's a pretty big buff. And Vampiric Burst cooldown reduced from 34 to 30. Okay, next up we have Vitality items. Weapon damage increased on extra health. Okay. Dude, so far they've buffed every item that I want to have in my Paradox build. Healing right duration increased. That's just a really good item. That's understandable. Bullet armor increased a little bit. Return fire reduced. Also makes sense. I think that's a little bit too strong item right now. Healing Nova now grants ability range. Yeah, so now Healing Nova has ability range, and they removed ability range from Divine Barrier and gave it Spirit Power instead. So they
Pieni tauko, sori. No ihan 20 sekkaa.
Always try to like balance around so that there's like only a certain amount of total of a stat you can get. So if one item loses it, they probably add it onto another item. They buffed Healbane a bit. Reactive Barrier restores 1 stamina. Ooh. It's gonna be even harder for Bebops to get kills now. They buy Reactive Barrier. Even if they run out of stamina, they can instantly dash away. That's good. Combat Barrier buffed. Ooh! Wow. Resto Locket now grants 25% melee resistance. Damn. Oh yeah, and debuff reducer got...
Pitää tota melee-resistanssia kyllä vähän ottaa selvää. Mä en ikinä rakenna sitä, että jos joku Abrams tai jotain tyyppejä, niin tota pitää vähän katsoa kyllä.
More health as well. Metal Skin no longer blocks melee damage. Okay, so this is probably like, that's why Resto Locket now also has melee resistance. The intention is that the Metal Skin is not supposed to counter both melee builds and bullet builds. It's supposed to counter one of them. So now they're kind of separating items into either having melee resistance, bullet resistance, or like bullet immunity. I think this makes sense. I felt like Metal Skin was simply too good. Alright, debuff remover. Debuff resistance increased to 40% and cooldown. Oh wow.
Siis mun mielestä Metal Skin on niin siisti, kun sulla Haze, joka tappaa sut koko ajan, niin Metal Skin on niin kova.
Well, rip double bomb. Even more people are gonna buy it now. Veilwalker ammo increased and oh my god. Dude, my Paradox build is getting so many buffs. Oh, and 42 too! Dude, I'm telling you, every single item that is in my Paradox build is getting buffed. More ammo, more weapon damage, more health. Alright, they buffed Life Strike too. Honestly though, you know what?
Toi on kova. Ei enää Abramsi tuu takaisin uudestaan.
Okay, I know some of you have been saying that I'm using too many...
Mun mielestä aina joku Abramsi tulee, niin niillä on aina Soul Rebirth.
Any Dota comparisons. I'm gonna do it once this time, and I'm just gonna explain something about power levels of a respawning item. In Dota, when you kill the mid-boss, also known as Roshan, he drops an Aegis. Aegis is an item that you pick up, and it has a 5-minute duration. As long as you die within those 5 minutes, you respawn on the spot. Now this is one item with a 5-minute cooldown that one person can get every time you would kill the mid-boss. Now let's transfer that, compare that to Soul Rebirth, an item that every hero can buy in the game, and you can respawn once every 2 minutes. This item was just like fundamentally broken. They tried to like...
Totta. Tää on hyvä.
Increase the cooldown on your resurrects. They removed the cooldown reduction. They like kept nerfing it. It doesn't matter. It's fundamentally broken. Alright, inhibitor slow reduced. Okay. Siphon bullets now grants weapon damage. Ooh! Phantom Strike now grounds any flying targets on impact. Similar to how Slowing Hex used to work. Okay, I actually really agree with this because Phantom Strike received a massive nerf a while ago, right around the same time. You remember when I made this one button Bebop build where we would have Phantom Strike, you would Phantom Strike in and bomb Echo Shard bomb and stuff, right? They nerfed Phantom Strike so hard. They removed the damage, like they lowered the range, they did everything. And after that, only Krill pretty much bought it. This makes sense. This makes sense also because Great Talon and Medicta are pretty strong in the meta. But I do wonder, does that work on Bebop too? Does that mean if you're like ulting in the air and you get Phantom Strike that puts you to the ground? That's gonna suck. Okay, so far these changes are great. These changes are great so far. I forgot to mention also...
Samaa mieltä. Mutta mä oon just nyt mökillä, mä en voi pelaamaan, mä testaa, kun mulla on niin huono PC täällä mukana.
I think Divine Barrier was just a little bit too strong, so giving it Spirit Power instead of ability range just makes sense to me. So Healing Nova now gets the ability range instead. Spirit items. Ammo Scav duration increased. That makes sense because they did a big nerf on Ammo Scav a while ago. Mystic Burst. Oh, wait, this is a big buff. So, Mystic and Improved Burst are one of those items that also weren't really bought that much because people would have so much spirit resistance that it would be hard to proc it. Now it's proc based on the base damage of your ability and not the damage the target receives because... So basically what this means is that whenever you have an ability that reaches a certain damage point, your burst will proc. It doesn't mean that it's going to ignore armor. It just means that the proc ignores armor. The actual damage is still going to be like the actual damage is not going to ignore armor. It just means that you're going to get burst procs off more often. And the good thing about this is that if you guys didn't know, the way bursts is calculated, it's on individual hero targets. So let's say you have the paradox wall and you... You have improved bursts, then 5 different targets can walk through the wall within like a span of 2 seconds, and they will all be hit by the burst proc because the cooldown of the burst effect is on each specific hero and not on you. Alright, so let's continue. Slowing Hex now uses Enduring Spirit as a component. Wait, what? Now gains 10% spirit life to 75 bonus health. And no longer grants sprint. I'd say that's a nerf, because it's gonna be more expensive too. Of course, like it's gonna be more slot efficient, because Enduring Spirit did feel like an item that's kind of just like, you want to keep it because it has lifesteal, but it's a pretty cheap item. You know what? I mean, Slowing Hex was like, everybody kept buying it. Like, you would have like 4 or 5 Slowing Hexes on one team, so this increases the price of Slowing Hex by 500. So, I'm not against it, I think that's okay. Withering Whip bullet resist reduction from 14 to 11, cooldown reduced, and now deals spirit damage. Oh, okay. It's just like a little rebalance to the kit, nothing crazy. Decay! Oh! Wait a minute. Decay now grants ability duration. Healing reduction increased from 50 to 70%. And the bleed damage reduced. So in a way, it's getting a similar treatment to, well, not a similar treatment to toxic bullets, but this becomes much more a healing reduction item than... So for those who don't know, for instance, heroes like Shiv, they would just buy Decay just because the damage from Decay would like build up your rage bar so quickly. And I kind of felt like that didn't make sense because Decay is supposed to be there to stop someone from healing, not to do damage to them. So this now feels more like a specific counter item that you buy in some matchups against Infernus, Shiv, and Abrams, whereas like the cooldown is a little bit lower. And it had, but one thing to have in mind is that there are very few items that give ability duration. So for instance, let's say you buy this on Paradox, your grenade gets an extra pulse. That's pretty good. Alright, next up I have improved cooldown. Okay, so they rebalanced improved cooldown a little bit. I think it does make sense. I feel like improved cooldown and improved duration, both these items are just so good compared to their upgrade versions. Like, you get so much more value for the costs compared to the items that cost like 4 times as much. Spirit Shield improved from 75 to 100 and also grants ammo. And now Superior Cooldown grants more ammo. Improved Burst now triggers their base damage rather than how...
Aika hyvin average. Jonas viimeksi just puhui näistä super cooldown ja noi super cooldown ei mikään niinku maailman parhaimpia nää. Nyt selkeästi samaa mieltä Jonaksen kanssa näistä jutuista. Tää kaveri on kyllä aika hyvä mun mielestä. Hyvä, oppii paljon kun kuuntelee hänen videoita, varsinkin näitä updateista.
Yeah, this is the same treatment as normal burst. This just makes it much easier to use, and it's going to feel better too, because it's going to kind of like tell you when it's being used. I do hope that this fixes the issue with Vindicta, where Vindicta gets bonus souls when she gets kills with her ult, but if the enemy dies from the burst proc and not the actual ult, then you don't get the bonus souls, which kind of sucks. Oh crap. Guys, did I not tell you that I was just about to add magic carpet?
Mä en ole ikinä ostanut magic carpet. Pitäisikö mä joskus kokeilla Magic Carpetia? Mä en tiedä miten se toimii. Mä joskus ostaa ihan vitsillä.
Carpet to the Paradox build? Oh yeah, it's happening. Oh yeah, Magic Carpet.
Jonas on selkeästi nyt haipannut tätä Paradoxia aika paljon. Aika jännä, jos mä en ole kattonut yhtään näitä muutoksia. Mikä tämä Paradoxia käy, että onko Jonas kohta aika haipeissa.
Magic Carpet Paradox is on the menu. But I will say though, I feel like Magic Carpet was like not bought a lot. I feel like also Magic Carpet gives big shields too, so it can be like a replacement for Diviner's Kevlar, because one thing I noticed with when I was making the ult Paradox build was that Diviner's Kevlar has a longer cooldown than the ult, so sometimes you get this like awkward off.
Mä pelasin tosi paljon Dotasta Vengeance Spirittiä, mun tulee vähän Paradoxit mieleen, kun se on se swappi, mutta mä en ole oikein, että Paradoxia päässyt sisään vielä. Että ehkä se, jos se on se swappi tai mun mielestä mikä sen nimi on, se niin ultti, niin varmaan siinä pitäisi olla just kommunikoida vähän noiden muiden kanssa enemmän kuin tekee ne swapit. Mä dikkasin ihan sikana Dotas 2, niin Vengeance Spirittiä käyttää siinä swapeilla. Se oli aika, tykkäsin tosi paljon siitä.
Offset where your ult is ready but the Kevlar is not, and then you ult and now your Kevlar is ready when your ult is not. So it offsets it a lot. If you always engage with Magic Carpet first, you get that big shield when you go in, and it now gives both duration and ability range, meaning that you can buy Mystic Reach early game, and then you can sell Reach for Magic Carpet, and you keep the ability range, but you get... Oh my god. Okay, we are definitely changing the Paradox build to do Sharpshooter, Toxic Bullets, Magic Carpet. That's what I'm going to do this patch. Alright, over to the hero changes. Abrams reverted melee attack speed reduction. Okay, so, well, we were safe for one patch, guys. Shoulder charge can now again use left-right strafe. Okay. Siphon Light Spirit scaling increased. Damage regen reduction reduced. Okay, so they're making his passive weaker. Infernal's resilience reduced. Okay, so they gave him back his melee power but nerfed his passive a little bit. Alright, here we go. Bebop. Is there one patch?
Tää Jonas on kyllä semmonen Bebop-spämmeri. Oh, sorry. Katsotaan miten käy.
Where we can go unscathed? No, there's not. Alright, Bebop. Sticky bomb damage gain per hero impact increased from 1 to 1.5. Okay, this is something we need to test in-game, guys. Because now it says that bomb damage gain per hero kill reduced from 5 to 4. And then the bomb damage gain per hero impact increased from 1 to 1.5. So, for bomb Bebop, this is almost guaranteed to be a buff because you use Echo Shard. And you get 3% out of every fight instead of 2. But I have one question. So for those of you who don't know, in the previous patch, you didn't actually get 6% total. You actually got 5. It just added 4% on, so you would get 1% when you added the bomb, and then another 4 when they died. So I wonder, is this just a tooltip fix because the tooltip didn't make sense? Or does this mean that now we actually get a total of 4% when you kill them with a bomb? So that means 1.5 from the bomb application, and then 2.5. Because that would mean that it's overall a nerf to every other build except Echo Shard builds, but a slight buff to Echo Shard. But I will say, overall, this makes sense to me because I felt like the previous, all these changes to the bomb recently has actually benefited hybrid and gun builds more than the double bomb. Okay, let me see what else. Sticky bomb changed from disarm to 30% damage penalty. Ooh, okay. I think that makes sense. I think that disarm was a little bit too strong, I'm not gonna lie. Especially now with the higher spirit scaling of the bomb too, they kind of rebalance it to be slightly weaker debuff, but more damage. Oh my god. This is exactly what we asked for. So for those of you who don't know, there was this weird interaction where the bomb would snapshot your spirit power exactly when you cast the bomb and not when you detonate the bomb. This meant that items like Diviner's Kevlar cast after bomb cast and Spiritual Overflow or even Shadow Weave, if you bomb straight from Shadow Weave, it would not affect the damage of the bomb. Now, Spiritual Overflow works. If you cast a bomb and you ult straight after, the bomb's gonna do more damage because of the Diviner. This is a big buff to a few specific items. This just means that now you can add Spiritual Overflow to the hybrid builds. It's going to be really good. It has fire rate. It has cooldown reduction. It makes Tesla bullets better too, because Shadow Weave, Tesla bullets, and Spiritual Overflow now has an insane amount of synergy. Cooldown reduction, spell lifesteal, fire rate. Wow, that's sick. Sticky Bomb now has a 2x cast range when used on allies. Oh boy. I am actually not sure if I like that. The reason why I'm saying that is because there's already issues with ghost casting. So imagine an enemy is just outside range and you spam your bomb cast and then your teammate runs behind him. You might just cast it on your teammate instead. Oh boy. Alright, that's gonna be interesting to see how often that happens. Hook damage reduced from 4 to 10, but now has a 2x spirit scaling. Okay. It just makes it slightly stronger for... Wait, spirit scaling of 2x? Wait, that's a big buff! Wait, this just means that spirit builds will do tons of damage. Wait, the hook's gonna do 300 damage. What? Wait, that's like Pudge. That's like Pudge in Dota.
No. No. Ei.
Like, the hook actually does damage. I mean, okay, I do... You know what? Okay, let me say something. Spirit builds have been the weakest Bebop builds for a long time now. Because all the changes they've added to the bomb, for instance, affected the gun builds and the hybrid builds more than the spirit builds. So it seems to me that this is a way of making Spirit Bop come back. This is a way of making Double Bomb more on par with hybrid and gun. It's not going to take long before people are going to complain about it, and that's just the nature of, like, it's more frustrating to get killed by Double Bombs regardless. And whenever someone's really fed and they fly into with Double Bombs and one-shot you, it feels hopeless. I do get it. But you have to remember, there are debuff removers, there is Ethereal Shift, there's Warp Stone, there's a lot of ways of dodging the damage, but all these changes are definitely reflecting the fact that Bebop have mainly been a gun and a hybrid build lately. We definitely have to try to play Double Bomb now to see how it feels and to see how much that hook damage actually changes things, because we're definitely getting into the 100-150 spirit pretty easily, so that's gonna make the hook do 200 to 300 damage. Interesting. Some people are probably going to complain and say this is too much. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, because the opinion of everybody on Reddit is more important than us. But this definitely is meant to make Bomb Bebop stronger and Gun and Hybrid Bop weaker. We don't have to change the Bebop build, but it's just going to be better to play. And we have to change the Paradox build quite a bit, though. We still haven't seen the Paradox changes either. Hyper Beam now goes on cooldown for 3 seconds when cancelled during precast. Okay, I mean, if you could spam it to bait stuff, then this would make perfect sense to put it on a small cooldown. I think that's what most other abilities that are similar would do. Okay, I see. That makes sense. Dynamo now gains 1 bullet resist per boon. Okay, so he gains 14% bullet resists. Singularity now... Oh! Wait, Singularity now deals 5.5% max health. Oh, and then they lower... Okay, so you know what? This is kind of the same treatment as Bebop got. The idea is to bring more of the value onto the upgraded ability. So you can't just play like gun build and not max your ult. And no, actually, no, that's just a buff overall to like every build for Dynamo. Wow, that's actually sick. Alright, let's keep going. Grey Talon. Base bullet damage reduced from 27 to 24. Okay, bullet damage per boon increased. Okay, here we go once again. Fall of range rescaled. Okay, so he has slightly shorter range. Thank God, bro. The strafe distance that he had during Rain of Arrows just didn't make sense. And charge... Okay, thank you. Grey Talon definitely was a little bit too strong this patch. Hopefully this puts him more in line. The distance he could dash with Rain of Arrows was just... let me see. Bullet Dance no longer... Oh boy. Bullet Dance no longer hits 2 targets. Now grants fire rates and now allows it...
Yes!
To use items during it! Oh!
Tosta mä en ole kyllä varma.
Interesting. Wait.
Toi miinus 40 fire rate, ouch.
Wait, Warpstone, Haze ult? Magic Carpet Haze is crazy. Sleep Dagger now causes the target to wake up with 40% fire rate reduction. Okay. Oh, quap. Oh, it's not that much. Catalyst slow reduced. Afterburn build up per bullet. Okay, you know what? I do think that it was a little bit too easy to build Afterburn on Furnace. So this is probably gonna make him want to get slightly more fire rates to build that Afterburn proc. Because sometimes it's like... Sometimes I felt like every time you peeked in Furnace, he just hits it with Afterburn. Alright. Let's see. What else? Watcher's Gun and Fire Spirit scaling increased. Yeah, Ivy buffs. That's what we all wanted. To be fair, this is mostly around either support or bullet Ivy, so that's okay. Ground Strike can now be cast on a zipline. Fixed interaction between Mirage Tornado and Death Slam. Ground Strike now pulls enemies to the ground. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. That's big. I can't wait to see Vindictas get, like, pulled into the ground with Ground Strike from above. Oh my god, that's gonna be so satisfying. Ooh, McGinnis mini turrets DPS reduced from 60 to 40. How is the scaling on that? How bad is that for turrets? I don't really play McGinnis a lot. Is that a lot? Oh wait, if this is the base damage, doesn't that mean that the scaling also gets affected by it? Alright, interesting. Health reduced from 20 to... Okay. Mirage bullet size reduced. Tornado speed reduced. Tornado lift duration reduced. Okay. I think Tornado is probably still the strongest basic ability in the game, so that's kind of understandable, to be honest. Alright. Ooh, Paradox. Here we go. Oof. Okay.
Let's go. Saa nähdä. Tai miten
Okay.
mieltä?
Bullet velocity increased. That's nice.
Aika hyvä.
That's very nice. I felt like the bullets felt a little slow in the landing stage. Oh, shit. Okay, let me just preface this by saying that this doesn't nerf my Paradox build as much as other builds, because some builds were like purely focused on leveling up the wall, building rapid recharge, and then making a Fortnite box and like trapping people in them. However, this does nerf Paradox's ability to do close quarters combat, but again, this just seems like another reason to why I want to try the Toxic Bullets Sharpshooter build. I don't think this affects that build as much. It definitely affects melee, it definitely affects... Actually, you know what it affects? It affects the early game ganks, because now you either have to max out your wall to keep the max health damage, but then you don't have that much damage from Carbine and your ult. So either now you kind of got to commit to a wall build, but then that doesn't make sense because you can't get multiple charges from it anyway. So I think this just means that Paradox is slightly weaker in the early game, so that when you gank now, you basically just want to do Carbine and ult, unless you go wall first. But it's just meant to be, guys. What can I say? It's just meant to be. I mentioned it earlier. I want to make a Carbine build. It's focused on Magic Carpet, Veil Walker, a lot of speed, and a lot of burst damage from long range, and everything is just...
Joo, mä kokeilin, että Average-Jonaksen
just lining up perfectly to make that build viable. Not a full gun Paradox build, but a build that has more focus around the Carbine and movement speed Veil Walker, instead of just like fighting close quarters, because you don't have that many walls. You need to upgrade your wall before it does damage, so you would have to allocate that damage to the Carbine instead. And then Paradox swap, time to complete the swap reduced from 0.5 to 1.5. Oh, wait, so now the swap is much faster. I think that's definitely a nerf, I think, because one of the big issues when you fought a Paradox was just how long you were not able to control your character. I will say it's a buff in your survivability because you are also locked in the same animation. So I think it's a good change. And I think this means that it's slightly less necessary to buy Warpstone. Because you were locked in that animation for 1.5 seconds sometimes, you were always stuck in a position that everybody knows you're there, and you're like severely out of position. But with the swap like going 3 times faster, I think Warpstone is less necessary, because you can probably manage to like dash jump out in time, so that's definitely a nerf overall. But I will say, this means that you need to calm to your team that you're about to swap someone. It just makes it more similar to Bebop Hook, but it increases your survivability because you have 100% lifesteal while you're swapping them, so now that's almost an instant heal instead of a heal over time. And it also means that counterplays are harder to do. So for instance, one issue with Bebop's Hook, for instance, is that you can rescue beam it. Now it's going to be much harder to rescue beam the Paradoxical swap. So what I think overall is that this is going to be like a nice quality of life change where the swap is almost always going to go through, but it's not going to be as strong of a crowd control. So yeah. Alright. Pocket, barrage, spirit scaling increased, light melee damage. Wait, does this mean Pocket has the highest melee damage in the game now? Wait, Yamato has higher? Okay, this is not like any groundbreaking changes, but they did nerf barrage a lot.
Mä pelaan aika paljon Yamatoa, mä toivottavasti Yamatoa vähän buffattaisi, se olisi kiva.
Recently, so...
Saa nähdä. Mielestäni Yamato aika jees.
Well, I guess making it a little bit stronger again makes sense. Alright, Vindicta. Base bullet damage reduced. Dude, they just can't make up their minds with Vindicta and Great Talent. Bullet damage growth. Okay, so same total damage later on, but you're scaling more into late game. They buffed Stake again? Stake was 2 seconds, then they reduced it, now they increased it. Okay. Flight reduced, okay. Crow familiar ticker. Oh, wait. This is a big nerf to escalating exposure, no? Have you guys ever been hit by a full build escalating exposure Crow build? It's literally like Pocket ult. It's literally like go back to base. It's over 1,000 damage. So like, I think I do understand it. I'm not sure if this means that Crow familiar does have as much damage or if the ticks just have bigger ticks, because it used to be a percentage of health. That's what I want to know.
Se mun mielestä niinku Pocketin niinku tuo ultti on niin järjestävä, kun se alkaa niinku naputtaa kaikki sun healthit pois ja joutuu lähteä aina beissiin.
Yeah. Also, this is also pretty big. Assassinate starts at 25% instead of 50 power. I think this is actually quite a big nerf because a lot of the time when you have multiple charges on Assassinate, you would just shoot a second shot really quickly for 50% power. Now you actually have to charge it up a bit. So yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like Vindicta and Grey Talon, when they're slightly too strong, it just makes the game unfun to play, man. I don't know. Heroes that can permanently fly are just like broken by design, in my opinion. Okay, Viscous Cube Health Regen now scales. Gooball Down Dash ability moved from tier 3 to base ability. Oh, I didn't know you have to upgrade that. Gooball size now increases with range upgrades. Oh! Holy monster Gooball! Wait, what? No way. Indiana Jones?
Tästä voi tulla aika läppä. Minkä kokoiseksi siitä tulee? Niin kuin megapallo.
It's building coming. I can't wait to see how fucking Indiana Jones ball. Okay. Ward now has 1 sprint, increases bullet velocity a bit. Last stand goes on cool.
Vardi niinkin, mä oon jonkin verran pelannut, sekin on kyllä välillä aika ihan hauska pelaa, kun pääsee vauhtiin.
And if you die...
Toi bullet velocity on kyllä hyvä, että vähän nopeampi, koska ne skodet on niin hitaita.
Or the ability is interrupted while cast. Okay. No longer grants unstoppable. Thank God, dude, that was so strong. He would just like use his ult cast to like disjoint anything and you would just have to run. Now grants spirit resist. He already has bullet resist on it too. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Wraith telekinetic.
Nyt se oli unstoppable. Se oli kyllä ihan hyvä. No onneksi on tuo spirit resistance channelin aikana.
This is cast time increased and damage reduced. Nice. Not against that. I don't know, they've nerfed Wraith like 5 times in a row now, but I still feel like she's in a good spot. I think it's a super strong hero still. And her like assassination potential is so good.
Yamato.
Alright, let's see what they did with Yamato this time. Shadow Transformation now affects grapple time speed, that's fine. Increase the ult to 6 seconds? Okay. Oh! Okay, that explains.
What? What's the point?
Shadow Transformation no longer prevents death. Goodbye.
Mutta eikö se ollut se pointti koko juttu? Hetkonen.
Yamato. Shadow Transformation gives 60% bullet and spirit resists. Now heals for 30% health when you pop it. And duration extends by 2 seconds whenever you get a kill in it for that session. Okay. You definitely won't see those YOLO Yamatos just fly in your face now with ult because they can die. It's also... But wait, so the ult still dispels, right? So it heals you for 30% after the dispel, and you're still immune while you dispel. So it's still a really good counter to stuff like Bebop because you put 2 bombs on them. Interesting. I'm curious to see what Ronald thinks about that. Alright, what do you guys think of the patch overall? I'm curious. Ladies and gentlemen!
Se on ne patchi. Joo, ihan mielenkiintoinen. Pitää varmaan testailla tossa. Mä oon nyt mökillä, niin mulla on tää tämmönen vanha läppäri mukana. Mä en tää oikein pyöritä hyvin ja samaan aikaan striimiin. Niin pitää katsoa, jos vaikka tossa yrittäis vähän myöhemmin vielä pelailla ja jopa ehkä striimata, mutta laatu voi olla aika heikko, mutta ei mitään. Ihan mielenkiintoinen patchi taas ja toivon mukaan vähän parantaisi pyörisi ehkä vähän, mutta oli heikommalla koneella, mutta pitää sitäkin testaa vähän, mutta ei mitään. Tällaiset patch notit tällä kertaa ja ihan kiinnostavaa, ei mitään. Tää on tämmönen nyt nopeampi pika-striimi. Kattoo nämä patch notit ja sitten ei mitään, tsiikallaan. Okei, moi!